Okay, Karen.
Call the meeting to order. Karen, could you do the roll call, please?
Otis.
Here.
Yancy. Chris.
Here.
Sally.
Here.
Tor. Dave.
Here.
And Richard.
Do we have any amendments to the agenda for today's meeting? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept the agenda for today's meeting?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have the minutes from two meetings. We have the July 9th meeting. Are there any amendments to the minutes from the 9th meeting?
I don't have any.
Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the 9th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We also have the May 14th meeting. Is there any motion to amend those minutes
So move.
I didn't read
on
them.
the
Oh,
14th?
excuse me, no amendments.
No amendments? Okay.
Second.
Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
So moved. I neglected to read them, sorry.
So you second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on. Do we have any public comments that are to matters not appearing on the public hearing or consent calendar?
Yes, I do.
Yes, Liz.
Liz Cabrera for the public. We noticed recently when we were listening to some of the recordings that we cannot hear you, and you have to speak into the microphone, and it's our only record of the discussion that goes along with the decisions that you're making. And while Joe and I come through very clearly, that's not the important part. The important part is what you guys are saying when you're deliberating. And so I just would ask you, it's hard to remember because it's very comfortable to sit back in those chairs, but if you could speak into the microphone, that would make it a lot better for when we listen back to those recordings and for the public to hear what happened.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Related to agenda items?
This is not related to agenda items. Okay. So no further public comments. We have nothing on the consent calendar at this meeting. We have public hearing items. We have a Parsley CUP extension request. Do we have any testimony to that public hearing? Hearing none, do we have a motion concerning that public hearing, the extension request?
I make a motion that we extend it.
Do you have a second?
Yes.
Second.
Discussion.
So because of their work situation, they're not on island enough to finish their project? Is that what I'm reading in this letter?
It can't be any more than that anyway.
And medical?
Yeah, that's what I read in the letter. I was going to ask Liz about, they're asking for a 2-year extension. I think we can only give 1 year at a time, right?
Correct.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any further discussion?
I just have a question. I mean, I haven't looked at what they're doing out there, but are there any issues that you see associated with this, Joe? Okay.
No, I said they work long hours. They work in a fish weir down on one of these
Okay.
catching, and he works all summer. They try to come up here in the off season. They have a child that they have to take care of too, so they're pretty busy folk, and
Okay.
they're kind of situated there. There's no complaints about what they're doing. It's
Okay.
a matter of them getting some time to do this little cabin they're planning on.
Okay. I make a motion that we extend the conditional use permit for 1 year.
Okay, so you're going to amend it to, yeah, for
1 year.
For 1 year.
But that's all we can do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you already made the motion just to extend it, and the most we can do is 1 year, so
Yeah.
it doesn't really,
So it doesn't matter.
Do
it's
that.
kind of redundant.
Okay, I see, I understand.
What?
Do you need a second, or did we already do
No, we've
that?
already got a second on
We
it.
already
So,
did, we just need to vote.
is there any further discussion?
Are they going to be removing the trailer and the RV when the house is built? At least the trailer?
I believe that's their intent, yes.
I think it's just an RV,
It's just a
Yeah.
travel trailer, I
Yeah.
believe, anyway.
which
They could park there
they
later.
could park it there
Not
later. Yeah.
Well, it says trailer slash RV, so I wasn't sure if that meant 2 items or 1.
I don't know what to call it, travel trailer, RV, it's,
Yeah.
pull behind.
Something
Yeah.
on wheels.
Yeah. That's-
Yeah.
But once they built the house, they can certainly park it there,
Yeah.
legally. Yeah.
Yep.
Karen, you want to do the roll call, please?
Otis,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Moving on to a recommendation of a revision of the land use chapter of the comprehensive plan to align with the recommended changes to the industrial classifications. Do we have any testimony concerning this? Please come up, state your name for the record.
Harold McDowell. Hope you guys are all having a nice summer. I just want to point out that it's not customary to revise the comprehensive plan to bring in line with the zoning, that you bring the zoning in line with the comprehensive plan. And that 2016 comprehensive plan did not call for this major revision of the zoning. I've read it through and through, and you guys went and threw out our existing zoning, replaced it with some imported zoning, and I think that if you're going to reopen the comprehensive plan, then let's do the whole comprehensive plan all over again. But you don't change the plan, which is, the comprehensive plan is under Alaska statutes. We have to have that for first and second class communities, and that's we have the consultants and the great amount of public input, and that's the directive going forward. And as I can see it, your whole zoning ordinance disregards what was in the comprehensive plan. And so you got some serious systemic problems in the whole zoning ordinance that was passed. And I know I could go out and beat the street and get enough signatures to rescind the new zoning ordinance, and go back to our existing zoning that no one was clamoring to have replaced. But I don't want to do that before you guys have a chance to do it right and redo it. So anyway, I'm opposed to you changing the comprehensive plan to align with any of your new zoning ordinance.
Well, we changed the new zoning ordinance to better align with what the community wanted.
One small part of it. One small part of it.
And that's the part we're changing the comprehensive plan, so that we're not out of line there, because that puts us in a legal situation.
You
So,
couldn't.
Dave?
Sorry. Liz, I thought we did a comprehensive plan. Refresh me. We did a comprehensive plan, and as a part of that comprehensive plan, we had to do, it was recommended that we also, at least the consultant said we should upgrade our zoning code, and we had, part of the element in the comprehensive plan was this waterfront development restrictions. I mean, that was the main takeaway that I got from that entire 2-year process.
Yes, and so the comprehensive plan recommends, waterfront industrial, waterfront A, waterfront B, waterfront C, and that's the part that is recommended that we take it out to reflect the map and the changes that you made to the industrial code, which no longer has the waterfront A, waterfront B, waterfront C. So it doesn't make a distinction on the waterfront, it just leaves everything as either the industrial or the commercial or the residential, so.
Right, so now if we don't, then we'd have to go back and change our zoning to align with the restrictions that nobody was really wild about.
Well, I think the issue is if you make a decision under the new code, and then it is inconsistent with what is in the
Yeah.
comprehensive plan, like you make a conditional use permit in an area that, is industrial, it's waterfront industrial, and then someone comes back and says, well, you never should have allowed a hotel in what is waterfront industrial, because in your comprehensive plan, you were supposed to allow that for only waterfront dependent uses, industrial waterfront dependent uses. Then I would think that could go to court, and that could cause some issue as far as the ability for us to actually implement that code and that person, the property owner, to be able to move forward with that, if someone wanted to take it that far. So while Mr. Medallion is absolutely correct, normally you wouldn't go back and amend your comprehensive plan after you've done the code, because that's really, it should be the other way around, and that was the intent. But the differences are really dramatic in my mind between what is in here and what ended up in the code. And if we're not going to do a separation of waterfront industrial uses, in the land use, and we're going to allow maximum use and allow that for the property owner, I think you have to make that consistent in the code so that your decisions can stand up at appeal and stand up in court. So that's why we're at where we're at, not because we want to circumvent the process.
Since we changed the code to better align with what the people of the community wanted in these last however many meetings it's been, we need to make our comprehensive plan align now with those changes we made to the code, is what we're saying.
Right. So for example, where it says, manage the use of the waterfront to maximize value of the resource, so instead it's maximize the latitude of property owners, right? So what we're saying is, we're not going to maximize for certain types of uses. We're going to let the property owner decide what the highest and best use is. And that language is actually from the 84 plan. So.
Yeah.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Yeah. So your 2016 revision, the waterfront A, B, and C are rather vague in the terms that they use, and there's nothing in that 2016 plan that says that we have a problem with people developing waterfront property for uses that we don't like. There's nothing that calls out for a major restructuring, rezoning. It's vague enough that nothing in that plan called for what you guys did. Nothing whatsoever. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I've gone over it multiple times trying to figure out how we got to this point. So, as nearly as I can tell, there is a strong case there for if somebody wanted to bring a class action suit against you guys for throwing out the whole zoning. No one was calling for a major rezone of the town. You threw away the existing zone, which was, as like in the 84 plan, they talk about the spillover zoning, where any use allowed and people felt very strongly about that. There was a lot of public input in that plan, very strongly about that. Any use that's allowed in a more restrictive zone is allowed in a less restrictive zone. Thus, residential use of industrial property, be it waterfront or elsewhere. That has been the guiding directive down through the years. I've watched you guys over the last 10 years, or your board and your staff, say that we're not allowing this, we don't approve of this, we want this to be used for this. Now, so here we are in this slowly shrinking town where we want to promote every kind of economic development that we possibly can, and you guys, by coming up, and it's not just the industrial part, that's the only part that the assembly asks you to address. But throughout this whole imported zoning, it's all kinds of problems and pitfalls. So anyway, I think that the whole thing needs to be redone with a lot more public input. And I realize you advertise the meetings and for public input, but all of the press releases were that, hey, this is going to be simpler, streamlined, easier, allow more uses, and it didn't turn out that way. So that's what I'm saying. So by going and trying to change the comprehensive plan to align with what you did, in this case, I think that's wrong. I think you need to rework the plan to a large degree. I realize that Assembly hasn't told you that, but if something winds up on the ballot that rescinds your plan, you're going to be reworking it anyway. So you should just be thinking about bringing it more in line with what people want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave?
Yes, I understand that we have a fundamental disagreement with Harold, and I don't think we're going to resolve it here amongst us today. And I think he's correct. If he has a problem with the new zoning and the comprehensive plan, both of which have been approved by the Assembly by ordinance after 3 readings on the comprehensive plan and 3 readings also on the zoning, that yes, he has every right to put on the ballot and rescind it. But that said, I feel that we addressed the main concerns that people had with it, at least what were expressed at the meetings, that we address those concerns. And I think now what we need to do is we need to clean it up so that we're not in conflict with the comprehensive plan. And I can't remember, we spent a lot of money on that comprehensive plan, didn't we? That was a multi-year process. That went from like 2013 to 2016 or something like that?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was 3 years, and it was probably 10, 12 meetings between various groups.
At least.
At least that many.
At least that many.
And then we probably had, I understand that not everybody hears about meetings or understands what's going on, but my gosh, we had quite a few meetings on the zoning map. I know that's recent. And then also on the zoning itself, we probably had another 10 to 15 meetings. So I feel a consensus has been reached in the community, but if that's not the case, then people, if they don't like it, they can go to the city assembly and they can throw it all out again. I mean, that's their prerogative. But they have to give us some direction. And to be quite honest, we haven't received a whole lot of direction from the assembly. So that said, I think we should support these revisions as Liz has made them, and I don't know if this is appropriate time to make a motion.
We will make a motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that, for discussion purposes, that we adopt the changes as highlighted by Liz.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I read through them, and it looks like this brings it in line with the changes we made to the zoning, and I think it's a very good job of taking care of that, so that there's no conflict. And since we did make the changes in the zoning to reflect the wishes of the community and bring more in line with the previous zoning, I think this is a good move forward for us. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I was just going to say that the only thing it does is really take out all the
Right.
specific waterfront stuff and then adds in that C2 light industrial that got created.
Yeah.
And then talks about that the intent is to allow for free market determination of waterfront land. So, and then the only other thing is the statement that we're not going to buffer incompatible uses through zoning, right? We have some setbacks that we're going to use where there's industrial and residential, and that's the same way we do it now, which is there's a setback buffer. So that would stay as it is.
Thank you, Liz. Dave?
I call for the question.
Okay. Karen?
Dave,
Yes?
Sally,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any commissioner comments? Liz, is there any staff comments?
No? Next meeting is September 10th. If Just let us know if you think you will hear.
I'm planning on being here.
Will that be a daytime meeting or a nighttime meeting?
It's noon.
Noon.
Perfect, because I have a nighttime conflict, so
Okay.
I'll be here.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll be here September and October since it's not going to be my birthday. And I would show up even if it was, but I will be gone for the November meeting for sure.
Okay. Otis, you know if you're going to be here?
Not for sure, no.
Not for sure. Okay. So,
You have something?
yes.
Thank you for heeding Liz's comments, because I was one that I tried listening to a meeting the other day, and it was like you guys were cutting in and out. It was really hard to see the conversation, but if we could get this, and I could hear you this time through the speaker system, so I know you guys were closer to the microphone, but I appreciate bringing that up and this little effort. These things move so they can come closer to you.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Since you're adjourned,
Wait.
I'm going to